Welcome to this explainer. I really like to think of modern customer service as directing a high-end, totally upbeat corporate movie. Just imagine a beautifully lit, bustling set. That kind of bright, energetic vibe is exactly the positivity and focus we want to bring to every single interaction we have. In any really great movie, the director uses lighting and composition to set the entire mood way before a single line of dialogue is even spoken. So today, we're going to learn how to direct our customer service strategy to produce that exact same bright, welcoming, blockbuster experience for our audience. Let's get into it. Right off the bat, this idea sets the entire theme of our narrative. It's all about meeting needs and fulfilling desires. You can basically consider this quote the ultimate logline for our script. Because let's be real, for an advanced team, customer service isn't just about executing a transaction or closing some basic support ticket and moving on. Not at all. It's about holistic journey management. It's about crafting this incredibly cohesive narrative where the customer walks away feeling like their specific needs were anticipated, totally understood, and ultimately resolved with genuine strategic care. To properly set the stage here, we really have to define our hero's role, and we do that through the lens of end-to-end lifecycle management. The absolute key here is the timeline: before, during, and after. Just like a perfectly paced three-act film, excellent service doesn't just suddenly happen at the climax of a sale. It requires professional, really high-quality engagement during that initial research phase, the actual transaction itself, and, crucially, the post-resolution follow-up. This continuous, structured presence is exactly what prevents churn. It's the secret sauce that turns a one-time buyer into a lifelong, raving fan of your brand. Now, our acting has to adapt pretty drastically across different channels. Think of it like transitioning from a live stage play to the silver screen. When your agents are managing phone support, they absolutely have to project a vocal empathy, right? They can hear a heavy sigh or a sudden pause, and they can adjust their performance in real time. But over email or text, poof, those auditory emotional cues just vanish completely. Suddenly, your team is relying entirely on precise copywriting and their ability to read really subtle written cues. It's a completely different skill set to make text-based support feel just as human and dynamic as a live conversation. Okay, let's cue a rapid-fire montage of action sequences for the phone. These are your stage directions for voice support. First up, literally smile while you're talking. I know it sounds cheesy, but that warmth actually translates right through the audio profile. Next, use tone mirroring for de-escalation. It creates this calm, level-headed connection without amplifying their frustration. Always listen first, then validate the root cause. You want to acknowledge their specific issue so they actually feel heard, and then seamlessly summarize your game plan. Oh, and please, avoid the classic suspense thriller trope of leaving someone on hold in the dark. Always communicate your hold times. Cutting over to text-based channels, let's look at how our narrative adapts to the inbox. You definitely want to leverage templates and macros as efficiency tools. You don't want to be writing standard protocols from scratch every single time. But, and this is a big but, you absolutely must add your own personalized spin so it doesn't read like a rigid bot response. Nobody likes that. Answer within your strictly defined timeframes to prioritize urgency. And just like vocal mirroring on the phone, try to imitate their phrasing to build quick rapport. Written tone is notoriously tricky to decipher, so always default to a highly considerate, informative voice to keep the scene perfectly lit. Out on social media and live chat, the pacing ramps way up. Our hero has to multitask like an absolute pro, executing omni-channel triage without ever losing sight of the broader story. You have to actively scan for those nuanced written cues, realizing that a frustrated enterprise client needs a totally different approach than a highly technical developer. Out on social platforms, responsiveness is the golden rule, but you have to expertly dodge that obvious troll bait that can completely tank a brand's reputation. Ultimately, a stellar digital agent understands triage, knowing exactly when a random tweet is a critical support ticket versus just a fun marketing opportunity. Part 1. The 4 pillars, the foundation of a great scene. Mastering these core 4 is totally non-negotiable. First up is promptness. For us, that means strict adherence to timeframes. If you promise a delivery, it simply has to be met without delay. No excuses. Second is politeness, which is kind of becoming a lost art, honestly. It acts as the baseline for your brand voice, setting a respectful tone no matter how the transaction is going. Third is professionalism, which is all about demonstrating deep subject matter expertise and real competence. And finally, personalization. This means moving way beyond generic readings and actually using your CRM data to create bespoke experiences that drive serious, long-term loyalty. Part 2, the epic wide shot, logistics and supply chain. This perfectly illustrates the broader supply chain journey. Step 1 is carefully casting your third-party logistics or 3PL partners. Why? Because their operational excellence directly protects your reputation. Step 2 is providing absolute transparency into tracking so the client is always in the loop. Step 3 is securing that highly vulnerable last-mile delivery. That is exactly where logistical friction loves to happen. Step 4 demands incredibly swift problem-solving the second a disruption occurs. And step 5 is leveraging all that tech and data to deeply understand buyer behavior so you can continuously optimize your back-end strategy.
Part 3. The climax. The company ABC turnaround.
Okay, the dramatic tension here was incredibly high. Get this. Company ABC was experiencing critical service failures. It was a mess. Some clients were left entirely in the dark, receiving absolutely nothing, while others were massively overserviced. So the company tried to brute force a fix by just throwing more inventory and more deliveries at the problem. But guess what? That didn't fix a thing. It actually actively destroyed their profit margins. The entire production was completely falling apart because they were trying to fix a deep structural issue with mere props. But here comes the triumphant resolution. Leadership finally took a step back, looked closer, and realized that as the business had scaled, the organizational charts had shifted. Employees in brand new customer-facing roles were basically operating without a script. It wasn't an inventory shortage at all. It was a profound skills gap. So they implemented specific, highly effective training centered on the exact competencies we've been talking about today. And the result? Almost instantly, service levels skyrocketed, and their profitability came right back. The measurable ROI of that targeted training was absolute blockbuster-level success. Just by upskilling their staff, the optimization in inventory management alone saved the business $350,000 a year. That's massive. And on top of that huge financial win, they managed to cut staff overtime by an impressive 40%. That right there is the hard value of properly directing your cast. Strategic customer service doesn't just mean a smoother journey for the buyer. It translates directly to a vastly healthier bottom line for you. So, as the bright lights come back up and the credits begin to roll on this explainer, I want to leave you with this. Armed with these dynamic skills, from mastering the fast-paced nuances of omni-triage to enforcing those core 4 pillars, to optimizing your global supply chain visibility, how are you going to direct your next interaction? Every single email, every phone call, every last-mile delivery is a pivotal scene in your customer's journey. It's entirely up to you to make it a masterpiece. Thank you so much for joining me, and I honestly can't wait to see the incredible experiences you create next.